Thanks, Gary. You're listening to Search the Scriptures Daily, a program in which we encourage everyone who desires to know God's truth to look to God's Word for all that is essential for salvation and living one's life in a way that is pleasing to Him. In this first segment of our program, we are beginning a new series featuring Dave Hunt's book, Seeking and Finding God. Now, for some of you who have followed our program for years, we're revisiting this, and there's a good reason for it. Seeking and Finding God, Dave's going to explain in a minute what the book's about, give you an overview and why he wrote it, but it's the gospel. It's the gospel. It's central to all that we're doing here. We're not ashamed of the gospel because it's the power of God unto salvation for all those who believe. And we want to keep reinforcing it. One of the things, Dave, I'm sure you agree with, is that an understanding of the gospel seems to be lost within professing Christianity, even among true believers. Can they explain the gospel? Can they not only witness with the gospel, but I'm finding in many cases, I visited evangelical universities. I've interviewed young people, and their inability to explain the gospel is a great concern that I have, and I think that's prevalent throughout professing Christianity.
Well, Tom, there are some tough questions that arise, and I've been, concerned about the new wave of atheism, aggressive atheism. Mm-hmm. And one of the things the atheists would say, I remember Christopher Hitchens saying it in a debate, well, this isn't, you're saying that the innocent die for the guilty? That's wicked. That's not right. And in fact, we just dealt with that in our recent newsletter. Mm-hmm.
Well, David, let me add to that. As we went through our series on the emerging church, you remember the quote of one of the leaders saying that this was a form of cosmic child abuse.
Right, yeah.
What is going on here?
Yeah. So, Tom, let me explain why I wrote this book, Seeking and Finding God. I don't know how many of the listeners would have heard, but I probably said it dozens of times that I can prove the existence of God by who He sits me next to on airplanes. And it happens over and over and over. And in fact, Tom, you and I were coming back. We met in Portland. Because we've been coming from different directions.
Well, we came from Toronto.
Right, but you went a different route. Mm-hmm. But anyway, here's a young man sitting next to me. You're right across the aisle. And you couldn't have arranged it. He's not quite an atheist, agnostic, but he's heading for atheism. Once upon a time, a supposed Christian, and I think he was a Catholic. Had he been a Catholic? I can't remember, Tom. Mm-hmm. At this point, I didn't write it down. I should write these things down. But what an appropriate time to meet him. He's thinking. He is a thinker. He really wants to know the truth, and we had a terrific discussion. Now, I meet so many of these people in various places, many of them on airplanes.
Dave, let me give you another example. You remember we were supposed to be sitting together on a flight from San Francisco, and there's this big guy sitting in the seat next to you, my seat. And I'm thinking, well, do I want to hassle this?
We'd gone out at San Francisco, actually.
Right.
And because they were... Well, there was a little break, and then when we came back to get our seats, 9B and C, somebody was sitting in 9 Charlie.
Right, which was my seat.
Right.
So this young man is a Marine, okay?
Well, I said, Tom, we'll get this guy out of here. He doesn't belong there.
Right. But you said it jokingly.
Well, yeah, okay. If it's the Lord's will that he be there, we'll let him be there.
Yeah.
I was wrong, Tom.
And the Lord, this was another one of those providential acts of God to have this man sitting next to you, because why? Well, he was a pagan within the armed services. That was his religion in the armed services. I think he had a Baptist background, but he had jumped out of that into paganism. And Dave, I don't know anybody that I could think of that understands the religion that he was just starting in as well as you do. And you were able to, well, you could add to it, you were able to explain what he was into better than he had an understanding of.
Well, Tom, just to make it a little more miraculous, he had a buddy, two of them, two Marines. Now, if they'd both been in, believe me, I would have rooted them out, because that seat 9 Bravo has my name on it, and I get that months in advance.
Yeah.
But
this is a puddle jumper for our listeners and viewers. In other words, it's a prop plane that gets us to Bend, Oregon, between San Francisco or Portland and whatever. So
I need to stretch my legs for various reasons. No, but it's different. There's another exit. It's about normal. But this one, you could hardly touch the seat in front of you with your foot. So that's my seat. And we, and Tom, you were sitting next to me, and we had reserved them. We had the proof. These guys, who they think they are, sitting in our seats. So if both of them had been there, we would have chased both of them out. I mean, in a nice way. But the other guy hadn't come on the plane yet. So now there's only one. He's in your seat. So we let it be. Tom wisely felt maybe the Lord has something in this.
Well, it happens over and over to you, Dave, so I'm just thinking, well, here we go again.
But so can you imagine, he's from Okinawa. He's come all the way to Lemoore Air Station, I believe, where they are going to do underwater training. Can you believe it? They come from Okinawa to do underwater training in a swimming pool at Lemoore Air Station.
But again, the point is that who else could the Lord have this young man sit next to that was so informed about the religion that he had been introduced to and now was going after wholeheartedly?
Yeah.
So you guys had I overheard the conversation. It was unbelievable.
So that was why I wrote Seeking and Finding God. Because what do I give to someone like this? They want to know more. They're interested. I don't push it on people. If they're not interested, and sometimes, no, I won't tell another story. We've got to get moving here. But I had to have something that I could give to people who were interested but who had lots of questions. Maybe they're into reincarnation. Maybe they're into atheism. Maybe they're into evolution. Who knows? So that was why I wrote this book. Dave, now I've got something to give to people.
Right.
And our listeners out there, I'm sure Gary will tell you how to get it. You might find this book very helpful for your own faith. It's a small book.
Dave, you're right. Gary's going to give some information later, but for a brief period of time, we want to offer the book at half price. I think which is around $350. I'm not positive about that, but Gary will let our listeners, our audience, know. And as you said, it's a very very small book. I don't think there's more than, well, I've got it right here. There's probably it's less than 150 pages. Content.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is amazing. But Dave, the exciting thing is that it does present the gospel. It explains the gospel, all the things, as I said at the top of the show, of the program here, that important things. And that's why we have repeated this. I think we did this series back in 2004, but it's the gospel. We've got to keep bringing this, I believe, before our audience, both viewing and listening audience. Now, chapter 1. You title the first chapter, The Necessity of Certainty, and you focus on death. Now, that's not exactly a heartwarming, crowd-pleasing note to or topic to capture the...
For more information about the Berean call us toll-free at our order number or visit our website